Aliens in the Mind. Co-starring Vincent Price as Curtis Lark and Peter Cushing as John Cornelius. Convinced that the apparently simple-minded Flora Keiry must be the key to the mysterious genetic mutation affecting the inhabitants of Luig, Lark and Cornelius persuade her to leave the island and come with them to London. But no sooner have they got her on board the boat to the mainland than Flora changes her mind.
I don't want a boat trip.
We can't get off now, Flora. It's too late.
Get her into the cabin.
In here, Flora, dear.
No.
Now, come along.
No, I won't. You can't
Flora,
make
get
me.
in there. Get in there.
Oh, Purser, how long before we sail?
Any moment now, sir. But what was all that?
Oh, it's nothing, Purser. Just a rather spoilt child who doesn't want to go back home to London.
I don't blame her. He wouldn't get me going into a big city for all the tea and china.
Help! Help!
No good shouting, Flora. You'll just stay there now until we sail.
Help! Help! Take me off! Help! Help!
Your tickets, please, sir.
Take me off.
Your tickets, please.
Help me.
Oh, look here.
Take me off. Take me off.
Right, off you go then. Down there where you just came from.
Off. Take me off.
Hey, none of that. Come here. Well, I warned you. Let your horse.
John, let me in. Let me in. Oh, for goodness sakes, John, do something. She must be calling every mutant on the island. There'll be a riot if we don't get her under control.
The only way to do that is to knock her out.
Yeah, exactly.
Any suggestions?
Mm-hmm. Just these two. Pop them in her wine glass and make her drink it. That should do the trick.
I hope you know what you're doing.
Trust me, John. Anyway, I can't stay here chatting with you. I've got an invasion to repel. Now, don't forget to lock the door after me.
All right.
Hey, none of that. Come here. Take me off. Take me off.
It's locked, Purser.
Take me off.
Oh, my God. Now, you just stop kicking that door down. John, for Pete's sake, switch her off, will you? Oh, no, you don't.
Oh, no.
Come no. Oh, you don't. Come on.
Off. Get
No.
What are you doing? Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm awfully sorry, sir.
That's quite all right, Percy.
What happened?
Well, I thought you were going to fall, so I just grabbed you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
You feeling all right now?
Yes, thank you, sir. I wonder what came over me. Anyway, if you'll excuse me, sir, we'll be sailing almost immediately. I must attend to my duties.
John! Open up, John. It's me, Curtis.
Come in. What have you been doing?
Oh, I've been swapping bedtime stories with the purser. Quite apart from the little army of mutants down on the dock, our friendly neighborhood purser decided to join in the fun and kick the door down.
Great Scott, the purser? How did you stop him?
Well, I interposed my body between him and the cabin door.
Clever, eh?
And he kicked me on the ankle, damn him. Mind you, he wasn't really himself at the time, but when he came to his senses, he apologized and went about his duties like a good little purser.
Extraordinary. The purser's an unexpected complication, isn't he?
Yes, he was a real shaker. I just wasn't prepared for a mutant here on the boat.
But it's a normal enough job for an islander, plying back and forth to the mainland.
Yeah, but I wonder how many mutants have used the boat to get off the island altogether, and whether they went of their own free will or under orders.
Part 3. Unexpected Visitations.
Sherry?
No, prefer Scotch.
Say when.
Boop.
Help yourself to water, dear fellow.
Oh,
Here you are.
Thanks. What about you?
No, thanks. I'll have a small manzanilla.
You know, John, I really envy you this apartment. Wish I could afford a place like it.
I wish I could afford 3 wives.
Oh, but you don't envy me, my 3 wives.
Oh, no. Not all 3 of them.
Whereas I do envy you your apartment.
Well, these were my consulting rooms originally.
Yeah, I noticed all the equipment.
Most of it's pretty out of date these days. Now, that's why I insisted on taking Flora to the hospital. We can do every test you can think of there.
Is that where she is now?
Yes, in the radioisotope laboratory. I want to put her under the gamma camera.
What do you expect to find, John? Some sort of brain lesion?
Well, if the brain has undergone any physical change, it's probably the best chance we have of finding it.
Have you considered that there might be no physical abnormality involved? Just an intensified refinement of some particular sense or sensitivity? After all, telepathy is nothing new.
This is not telepathy, as much as thought transference. The so-called controllers transferring their thoughts to other mutants.
Look, John, whatever form this mutation takes, in Flora's case, it's somehow gone askew. Most of the time, she behaves like a mentally retarded child, when in fact she's really as much a mutant controller as Mrs. Kyle was.
Ah, yes, but with Flora, that power only manifests itself when she's frightened or disturbed in some way.
Emotionally disturbed. That's what I'm getting at, John. The point is, why?
Oh, I have no idea.
No, but she has. Or at least she may have. Some traumatic, emotional experience. Her parents, dying in that fire, for instance, could have the same effect at puberty as it does at the menopause.
It's certainly possible.
There must be ways of finding out. It could be the key to the whole case.
Yes, it could.
Hey, you know, I know just the man. Kalman Baramek, a Persian.
Why do all your friends have to live on the other side of the world, Curtis?
You'll be glad to know that this one doesn't. He lives on the other side of Regent's Park.
Careful, Flora. It's quite a big step down.
I'll take care of this. What do I owe you?
It'll be 85p, please, sir.
All right, here you are. Keep the change.
Oh, thank you, sir.
What do you think, John? Nice location, isn't it? Right opposite the zoo.
Very therapeutic.
Can we go and see the animals?
Later, Flora, when we've seen Mr...
Dr. Baramek. Kalman Baramek. He's on the 2nd floor, I think.
Witchley, Hazel. Ah, here we are. Baramek.
Oh, please, let's go and see the animals.
Later, Flora.
That's a promise, Flora.
Who is it?
Curtis Lark.
Come up to the 2nd floor, please.
In we go, Flora.
Come in, Curtis. It's good to see you again.
Oh, it's been a long time, Kalman. May I introduce my good friend, John Cornelius?
Dr. Baramek.
How do you do?
And this is Miss Flora Keiry.
Ah, so you are Flora. I'm very pleased to meet you.
Hello.
Make yourself comfortable, please.
Thank you.
Now, can I get you something to drink? A cup of tea, perhaps?
That would be most welcome.
Joanne?
Yes, Doctor?
Joanne, I think we'd all like some tea. And perhaps you could tempt the palate of this young lady. This is Flora Keiry.
Hello, I'm Joanne Harrington. Perhaps you could come and choose something you like.
Not really.
Come on. We've got all sorts of goodies hidden away in here.
Mr. Cornelius, may I ask you if you retain a professional interest in this case? I mean, as a brain surgeon.
No, only a personal one, at least for the moment.
Well, my own view is that there is some block, some psychological block that inhibits her development.
Not a physical one.
Not as far as we can ascertain.
It is all quite possible.
What would you try, Kalman? Hypnosis?
I think so. From what you told me on the telephone, her subconscious will make much more sense than her conscious.
When will you attempt it?
Now, Joanne has already started. We asked the patient to look at some kaleidoscopic pattern placed in front of a small light. When we revolve this pattern, it creates a rhythmic pulsation on the retina.
Isn't this something to do with some research they did with helicopter pilots just a few years back?
That's right. The helicopter blades were stropping across the pilot's vision and inducing almost instant drowsiness. I think I'd better go in now. I'll call you when I've got the girl in hand.
How long will that be?
Oh, a few minutes only, no more. How is it going, Joanne?
Quite well, Doctor.
Oh, no, this one.
Couldn't we look at this pattern a little longer?
I've seen that one.
Okay, then. Let's look at that one.
Joanne?
Just a moment, Flora. You keep looking at this picture. Coming, Doctor. We've got problems, I think.
What problems?
She won't give it long enough. As soon as she seems to be relaxing, she snaps out of it and asks for a new one.
I see. Flora?
Yes? What do you want?
I want to play a little game with this pattern. Can you see a red spot? A tiny, tiny red spot, just above the middle of the pattern.
Oh, yes. The one that keeps going on and off.
That's the one. Now, watch it carefully and tell me every time you see it come on. Just say now, every time you see it.
No. No.
That's good, very good.
No. No.
Excellent, Flora.
No. No. No.
More tea?
Oh, no, thanks. I'm fine like this.
He said a few minutes. It's over an hour now. What's happening?
I'm afraid she's proving rather a difficult subject.
And I suppose we should have expected it.
Joanne, do you think you could keep an eye on her?
Of course, Doctor.
Let her lie down on the couch in there. The girl's exhausted.
I'll get a blanket.
Well, tell us what happened, Carman.
Nothing.
You were unable to hypnotize her?
Let us say rather that she successfully resisted all my efforts. Curtis, when you briefed me about this case, you told me that she had shown signs of extraordinary mental power.
Yes, that's right.
By extraordinary, did you mean extrasensory?
Well, that's what we suspect. We have indications, but no proof. No positive proof.
Nothing we could submit as scientific evidence.
Unless you've discovered something, Carman.
Yes, I felt something. It was as though she had some sort of antennae. The energy, the mental energy she was generating was quite extraordinary.
What do you do now?
We have to find ways of reducing her resistance.
You mean drugs, of course, huh?
A diazepam should suffice. It will bring her to that drowsy, twilight zone between waking and sleeping. It's very much like a hypnotic trance, anyway.
When do you propose to use the diazepam?
That depends on whether you want me to, Mr. Cornelius.
Why? It's not dangerous, is it?
No, of course not. But the girl doesn't want me to continue. Subconsciously, her resistance is almost fanatical.
Well, it's in her own interest to continue, Carman.
No, Curtis. It's in our interests. It may be in hers, if we're lucky.
But either way, we have to go on. Right, John?
I suppose so.
Then I suggest that you should both return in about an hour or so. I think we should let Flora rest that long.
Well, looks like we've got an hour to kill.
So what will you do?
I think we should go and see...
Who?
The monkeys at the zoo.
Now, whatever for.
Well, why not? I always find them very
Therapeutic.
Precisely.
Okay, let's go to the zoo.
Fascinating creatures.
I suppose so.
What do you mean you suppose so? All human nature is there in that cage.
Oh, and yet when Darwin first propounded his theory of evolution, he was laughed right out of court.
Only because no one wanted to believe him?
And no one will want to believe us, John. Telepathy's a music hall act.
Not on this scale, it isn't.
What scale, John? This is London, not the Isle of Louis. All we have is Flora.
Curtis, you said she might be the key to this whole case. I happen to agree with you.
Yes, but supposing Kalman does succeed in straightening her out. What then? I mean, does she become just another Molly Kyle? If you ally a controller's powers with any sort of real ambition, the consequences are unimaginable.
Oh, come on, Curtis. That's a bit far-fetched, isn't it? One of the reasons for bringing her to London was that there's no one here she can use those powers.
Oh, isn't there? Now, I know I'm only a poor, ignorant foreigner, but I understood that there had been an almost continuous migration from the Western House for the last 150 years.
That may be true.
And isn't it also true that not so long ago this country had a prime minister who was the grandson of a Scottish crofter?
Oh, yes, but he went to Eton first.
Oh, don't be silly. That's not the point.
No, but it does make a difference.
Well, it might have made one hell of a difference if that crofter had come from Luig.
Oh, that's a bit of star-spangled imagination if ever I heard one.
There, you see? Even you don't want to believe it.
Well, damn it all, we can't go marching up to the police and announce that the Prime Minister may be a mutant and a menace to society.
But who can we go marching up to?
Oh, do be serious, Curtis, please.
I am serious. There have been at least 3 generations of mutants on Luig. Some of them must have migrated south. And their descendants could by now have risen to positions of immense power and influence.
Then, if you're right, Curtis, presumably the mutant powers or susceptibilities would have lain dormant and will continue to do so.
Unless there are any controllers around. John, can you really believe it's safe to assume that there are no controllers around?
They still wouldn't believe us, Curtis. We have to build up an unshakable case, supported by irrefutable scientific evidence.
Well, we could only do that by going back to Luig, and even that could take years.
Yes, I know. That's why Flora must be the key to this case.
Oh, look, I think it's time we were getting back to her.
Oh, Professor Lark, Mr. Cornelius, thank God you've come.
Why, what's happened?
It's Dr. Baramek.
Where is he?
In here.
Kalman, are you all right?
More or less. A little sore between the ears, perhaps.
Thought he'd killed him.
You thought what?
That man, that maniac.
Right, nurse, now come over here and sit down and relax a minute. And then tell us what happened from the start. Now take it slowly and try not to leave anything out.
Well, it was not more than 10 minutes ago. I just looked at Flora. She was restless, very restless. I was telling Dr. Baramek when there was a ring at the door, not the street door, the door of this apartment.
Am I expecting someone, Joanne?
Well, you've no appointment. I wonder who let them in from the street.
Perhaps it's the caretaker.
I'll go and see. All right, I'm coming. Can I help? Hey, where do you think you're going? Come back. Doctor, look, you just can't go barging in. Look out, Doctor, he's a raving lunatic.
Sit down, won't you? I'd rather you sat down and told me about it.
Doctor.
I think it's all right. Thank you, Joanne. You can't go in there. No, stop. You can't stop, I tell you.
You killed him, you lunatic. You killed him.
Away from me. Oh, we can go now.
Doctor.
I'm ready.
Dr. Baramek, are you all right? Doctor. Oh, my God.
Bye-bye, Doctor.
Flora.
I'm going now. This nice man's taking me away from here.
But, Flora, what about Professor Lark? Flora, you just can't walk out on them like that.
But she did walk out, just like that.
Yes.
Without coercion?
They went out hand in hand like a couple of young lovers.
How old was this man?
Mid-40s, I suppose, greying at the temple. Quite distinguished looking, really.
And a very distinguished walking cane. Ebony, by the feel of it.
Oh, poor Kalman. I am sorry about that.
I'm sorry about the girl. Do you want me to get the police in?
Oh, if you could bear not to, Kalman, I'd be very grateful.
I thought that might be the case. John wanted to phone them earlier.
We should report that she's missing.
Just missing?
Or strayed.
But not stolen.
Definitely not stolen. Not yet. Where's the phone?
You can use the one in the office. Here, I'll show you.
Thank you.
There are 100 questions, Curtis.
Yes, I know, old friend, and so few answers, so very few.
When Joanne was recounted what happened just now, it dawned upon me that that man was behaving in much the same way as a person under direction.
Yes, I know. The question is, my dear Kalman, under whose direction? Oh, John, what did the police have to say?
They've already found her.
Oh, good.
She was seen wandering about the streets in a daze.
What about the man?
They didn't mention him. They've taken Flora straight round to my flat. I didn't want to involve you, Dr. Baramek.
Thank you. It was a kind thought, but perhaps you could allow me to involve myself.
Well, as long as you're coming, you might as well bring that sedative with you. What was it?
Diazepam.
Oh, yeah. Well, you better bring some. We might need it.
I'll go, Curtis.
Mr. Cornelius,
Yes?
I've brought back Miss...
Flora, thank heavens you're safe. We were so worried about you.
Hello.
Curtis, it is Flora. You must be exhausted, child. Come along. Take her into the sitting room, Curtis.
All right, come on, Flora. What happened to you?
Thank you so much, officer. Come in, won't you?
Oh, thank you, sir.
I can't tell you how relieved we are to have Flora back.
Glad to have been of service, sir. She is, all right, isn't she, sir?
How do you mean?
Well, she was just wandering around in the middle of the road. All over the place she was. And the way she talked. Well, at first we thought she was on a trip.
A trip?
You know, drugged. Acid.
Oh.
LSD.
Oh, no, nothing like that, no. She was probably just disorientated. She's lived all her life in a remote Scottish island. I think she was just overwhelmed by the noise and bustle of London. It happens sometimes.
Usually with old people, though.
That's right, officer. Anyway, thank you once more.
All part of the service, sir.
Goodbye.
But I still don't understand, John, why Kalman didn't want to give the injection himself.
He thought it was better for me to do it. She doesn't trust him, you see.
Oh, I see, yes. Well, she seems to be fully under now. Do you think it's safe to call him in?
Yes, if you'll be so kind, Curtis, then we can make a start.
All right. Kalman, you can come in now. I think she's nearly ready. John gave her the injection.
I'm sure I was right to keep out of the way. Even now, the sound of my voice might upset her. So could I suggest that you also carry out the questioning yourself? Either of you or both, if you like. I'll just watch and keep an eye on things.
Okay, then. You ready, John?
Ready and willing.
Well, let's not keep the lady waiting. Flora? Flora, can you hear me?
Yes.
Where were you born, Flora?
I was born at Luig, on the Isle of Luig.
And now Luig is yours, isn't it?
Yes, Luig is mine.
Why, Flora? Why is Luig yours?
Because they have to do what I tell them.
How do you tell them, Flora?
I tell
Don't
them...
confuse her. She doesn't know.
And the fellowship does what you tell them?
Aye.
Not what the minister tells them?
No, never. He just tells Molly Kyle what to tell them.
So that was the setup. I never did like that sanctimonious...
But Molly Kyle is dead, Flora.
Aye, Molly Kyle's dead.
And there's no one else that can tell them what to do?
Not now. There's only me.
Well, that's a relief.
Flora, why did you let Molly Kyle die?
Careful.
Because she killed my mother. I wanted to pay her back, the way she paid back my mother.
Paid her back? For what, Flora?
Make her tell us about it.
Tell us about it, Flora.
Good.
Take your time and tell us about it.
Very good.
She found out Keiry was not my father. So she punished my mother. Punished her for begetting me in sin. She burned her in hellfire. She told her her legs were paralyzed, and my mother thought she couldn't walk, and she just lay there screaming and screaming for help, and the flames came nearer and nearer, and I kept willing her to walk. But Molly Kyle was too strong. She was willing my mother to keep struggling and screaming, so that when Keiry came in to rescue her, she wouldn't let him move her. And then it was too late. They were burned in hellfire, and Mother was still screaming for help. Help! Help! Oh, help me, somebody! Oh, for God's sake, I'm burning!
Is she all right? It's a paroxysm. It's all right.
I'm burning!
Hold her down! Hold her down! For God's sake, hold her down!
Can't we stop her?
Nicky Finn, Curtis, your headhunter's
I wouldn't dare not on top of the other.
It's all right, Flora. It's all right.
Get some water, John.
Right. There you are. What's that? What's going on?
Sounds like somebody's breaking down your door.
I'd better go and find out.
Hey! Here, what do you think you're doing? I say, look out! Look here! Oh!
It's him. The same man as this afternoon. Stop him.
No. Keep still, come on.
But it's him.
I know, but just look at him. It's as though he were hypnotized. He doesn't even know we're here.
For God's sake, Curtis, are you just going to let him pick up the girl and walk out with her?
But there's no way of stopping him.
Where's he taking her?
Didn't either of you recognize him?
Recognize him? Why should we?
It's Ian Sanderson.
Well, who's he?
He's an MP, the opposition spokesman on defence matters.
Oh, my God.
Isn't anybody going to follow him?
Well, you can do, but I think you'll find he's only taking you across the road.
What makes you say that?
Because he lives there.
But I just don't understand it.
I think I do. What was a subject for scientific research has suddenly become a question of national security.
That was part 3 of Aliens in the Mind, co-starring Vincent Price as Curtis Lark and Peter Cushing as John Cornelius, with Sandra Clark as Flora Keiry, Steve Plytus, Calman Baramek, Joan Matheson, Joanne, and Andrew Sear as the police constable. Aliens in the Mind was written by René Basilico from an idea by Robert Holmes. Production by John Dias. Aliens in the Mind. Co-starring Vincent Price as Curtis Lark and Peter Cushing as John Cornelius. Lark and Cornelius take Flora Keiry away from the remote Isle of Luig with its frightening colony of mutants and bring her to London, where they hope to investigate her mysterious powers as a controller. Under hypnosis, Flora unwittingly exposes more of the mutants, nearer to home.
Flora, why did you let Molly Kyle die?
Careful.
Because she found out Keiry was not my father. So she punished my mother. Punished her for begetting me in sin. She burned her in hellfire. She told her her legs were paralyzed, and my mother thought she couldn't walk, and she just lay there screaming and screaming for help, and the flames came nearer and nearer, and then it was too late. They were burned in hellfire, and Mother was still screaming for help. Help! Help! Oh, help me, somebody! Oh, for God's sake, I'm burning!
Is she all right? It's a paroxysm. It's all right.
I'm burning!
Hold her down. Hold her down. For God's sake, hold her down.
Can't we stop her?
It's all right, Flora. It's all right.
There you are. What's that? What's going on?
Hey! Here, what do you think you're doing? I say, look out! Look here! Oh!
Stop him! No. Keep still, Kalman.
For God's sake, Curtis, are you just going to let him pick up the girl and walk out with her?
But there's no way of stopping him.
Where's he taking her?
Didn't either of you recognize him?
Recognize him? Why should we?
It's Ian Sanderson.
Well, who's he?
He's an MP, the opposition spokesman on defence matters.
Oh, my God.
But I just don't understand it.
I think I do. What was a subject for scientific research has suddenly become a question of national security.
Part 4. Official Intercessions.
Would you mind just filling that in, please, sir?
Certainly.
You too, please, sir.
What is it?
A security pass, sir.
What do they keep in here, John? The crown jewels?
This is the Home Office, not the Tower of London.
Well, what do they keep here?
I sometimes wonder. There. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your appointment's with Colonel Gulliver, is it, sir?
That's right.
Yes, he'd be in room, yes, here we are, room 517.
517.
Yes, follow that corridor down to the end and then take the lift to the 5th floor, sir. If you turn right when you get out, you'll find 517 almost facing you.
Thank you very much. Come along, Curtis, my boy.
I'm coming.
You can't miss it, sir. The rooms are clearly numbered.
John, you know, what I don't understand is if this Gulliver is a colonel, what's he doing in the Home Office, huh?
Well, Harry Gulliver's ex-army, actually. Something to do with security now. Bit tight-lipped on the surface, but he's not a bad sort when you get to know him. Anyway, you sometimes have generals in the White House, don't you?
Oh, yes, and we usually end up regretting.
What do they want, Gulliver?
I've no idea, sir. Not yet.
Oh, damn it, man. I would have thought you'd have enough on your plate without inviting coachloads of civilians to come poking their noses in the security cabinet. I suppose you know what you're doing.
Excuse me.
Oh, good day to you, sir.
And good day to you, sir.
Ah, there you are, Cornelius. Sorry
Good
about
morning,
that.
Colonel. May I introduce Professor Curtis Lark, Colonel Gulliver.
Ah, pleased to meet you, Professor.
Hello, Colonel. Who was that just went out?
Brigadier Sherman, my head of department.
Like the tank, you know?
Bit of a blimp, really. Take a pew, won't you?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, now, what's all this about?
You tell it, John.
Me?
Yeah, you won't embroider it as much as I would.
Oh, very well. It all started on the Isle of Luig.
Where the hell's that?
Luig? Oh, it's one of the Outer Hebrides. Professor Lark and I had gone up there to attend the funeral of a mutual friend.
Now, let me get this straight, Cornelius. You're telling me that up on this Scottish island, whatever it's called...
The Isle of Luig?
Yes. There are these people, these, mutants, didn't you call them?
That's right.
Who can be manipulated simply by having thoughts put into their heads by these, controllers.
Without the mutants being aware of it. That's the point, Colonel. They have no recollection of having been manipulated in this way.
And it's all done by telepathy.
Almost certainly.
Well, it all sounds a bit like science fiction, I must say. Telepathy and mutants and all that. I mean, it sounds more like,
H.G. Wells?
Who?
Wasn't it Wells who wrote, "In the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king"?
Very clever.
Well, you must admit, it sounds rather unbelievable. Anyway, I really can't see why you should come to me with this fairy tale.
We found one of these controllers, as we call them, a girl about 19 years old, called Flora Keiry, and we managed to get her to London for various tests. Now, they might prove something or other.
Uh-huh. Well, that sounds more promising.
Indeed.
But somebody walked off with her last night.
Walked off?
Yeah, stole, kidnapped.
Abducted is the word, Curtis.
Ah, thank you. Someone abducted her, Colonel.
And have you informed the police of this, abduction?
That won't be necessary. We know who the man is and why he did it.
And why did he do it?
Because she told him to. She just put the thought in his head.
Ah. You mean this fellow was one of these mutants?
Is one of them, Colonel. He is also a member of Parliament.
Is that meant to be some sort of joke, Cornelius?
Oh, you haven't heard the payoff line yet.
What does he mean, Cornelius? Why can't the damn fellow speak English?
In my friend's vernacular, you ain't heard nothing yet.
Come to the point, damn it.
Our mutant MP is one of the opposition spokesmen on defence matters.
Oh, no!
Now do you see why we came to you with this fairy tale, Colonel? One way or another, I think we put that over rather well, John. You know, we'd make quite a good double act on the halls.
Oh, saints preserve us. Personally, I felt we were hemming like mad.
Don't we always?
Speak for
May I
yourself.
trouble you with your passes, gentlemen?
Yes, of course, there we are.
Okay, here you go.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good day to you.
Good day.
Oh, boy. Fresh air at last.
Yes, it was a bit stuffy in there. But I think old Gulliver got the message in the end.
Yes, but will he do anything about it?
I doubt it. He can't move openly against someone like Sanderson without definite proof.
And we've no proof without Flora.
No, that's the next step, isn't it?
Yes, but what can we do? We can't just walk up and ask for her back.
What? What did you just say?
I said we can't just walk up to Sanderson and ask him to give Flora back to us.
But that's exactly what we can do. In fact, it's the only way.
It is?
My dear Curtis, you really do have the most unerring nose for these things.
Oh, I don't know. It's quite an ordinary nose, really. Chic, perhaps. Patrician, even.
We can soon alter that.
Yes?
John Cornelius. I telephoned earlier.
Oh, yes, Mr. Cornelius, and this must be...
Professor Curtis Lark.
Indeed. Do come in. Mr. Sanderson is expecting you.
Thank you.
If you would care to wait here for a moment, I'll inform Mr. Sanderson of your arrival.
Thank you.
If you'd excuse me.
A real old-world English butler. Isn't he just adorable?
Down, Curtis, down.
This way, if you please. Mr. Cornelius, Professor Lark, sir.
Thank you, Gwent. Do come in, won't you?
This is Professor Lark, sir, and I'm John Cornelius.
How do you do?
Hello.
Sit yourselves down, won't you?
Thank you.
So much.
Oh, I know you both by name, of course, and in your case, Mr. Cornelius, by reputation. But I can't pretend to understand the reason for this visit.
I'll come straight to the point, Mr. Sanderson. We've just returned from the Isle of Luig.
Luig? Oh, good heavens, I was born there.
So we understand.
Oh, it's such a beautiful place. Marvellous place to grow up in. It has many, many happy associations for me. Oh, you were saying about Luig?
When we came back, we brought with us a young lady who showed all the classic symptoms of what could prove to be a brain tumour. We wanted to run a series of medical checks on her.
She's been living in John's apartment just across the road until yesterday evening.
When she disappeared?
Yes.
Her name is Flora Keiry.
Yes, I know. Oh, strange, isn't it? So many years later, not knowing what she was or where she was or what she looked like. And then suddenly waking, as from a dream, and finding she had come from nowhere to hold your hand and ask to be taken home for tea. And you suddenly realised that all her life she would just stay a child and never do anything but hold your hand and ask to be taken home for tea.
I'm sorry, I don't quite follow.
Oh, you've brought me hope, Mr. Cornelius. A small hope, but something that I can hang on to, that I can at least begin to understand. And for that I thank you. Both for myself and my daughter.
Your what?
Flora Keiry is my daughter, Professor. My natural daughter.
Holy mackerel.
Never profane the mackerel, my dear Curtis. It is the most underrated fish. Well smoked and washed down with a little muscadet, it is to the more discerning palate eminently preferable to the more esteemed and popular trout.
John.
Mm-hmm.
It was I who suggested the mackerel.
Did you?
And the muscadet.
Oh, really? Then I commend you, my dear Curtis. Your palate is obviously improving.
Could we get back to cases, do you think?
Oh, by all means. You obviously doubt Sanderson's claim to be Flora's father.
Yes, frankly, I do, John. I honestly do. It's all too pat, too glib.
Well, he seems to believe it. And I think that was genuine.
Yes, but who's to say that she didn't put the idea into his head? She desperately needs affection, security, someone to lean on. She only had to think of him as her father, and he would have accepted it as fact.
Agreed, but at least the dates matched. And I really don't think she could have put all that background detail into his head.
Well, you could be right. I can't see how she could have known all that stuff either.
No. I'm sure all she knew was that her mother was murdered for, what did she call it? Begetting her in sin.
Yes, yes. It all comes back to the Reverend Donal Scoular, doesn't it? That man's got an awful lot to answer for.
And since the Reverend Scoular is the only person able to verify Sanderson's story, we have no option but to accept it at face value, at least for the moment.
Well, does that mean we have to leave Flora in Sanderson's care?
I really don't see what else we can do. She'll be well looked after, and we have complete access to her. Besides...
Besides what?
Well, what will we do with Flora when we've finished all our tests and checks? Send her back to Louis?
Into the Reverend Scoular's tender clutches over my dead body.
Quite right. Sanderson's claim to be her father could suit us very well. Very well indeed.
Could it, John? Or could it be risking Flora's life?
Curtis, melodrama does not become you. It sits badly on your accent.
Look now, honestly, seriously, there must be a controller behind Sanderson.
It doesn't necessarily follow just because Sanderson is a mutant.
No, but it's possible and you know it. I mean, otherwise, you would never have suggested going to someone like Gulliver.
All right, Curtis. Point taken.
Good. Then no fully fledged controller is going to take kindly to a butterfly mind like Flora's fouling up the works.
No. No, I would think that might well be true. On the other hand, one could argue that if there is another controller, Flora's butterfly mind might be just the thing to flush him out into the open.
You make her sound more like a sprat to catch a mackerel.
How appropriate, Curtis. More wine, dear fellow?
Oh, thanks. Well, John, once we get back to the flat, what's our next step going to be,
To amuse Flora. Poor Sanderson seems most anxious for us to maintain our professional interest in the girl.
Yeah.
And we certainly want to keep her under observation.
Absolutely.
So it might be a nice gesture if you were to invite Flora to do a little sightseeing.
Me? Why me?
Or why not? It's much more likely that you would want to see the sights than I would. After all, you are a foreigner.
Xenophobia ill becomes you, John, though it does sit well enough on that accent.
I thought the changing of the guard might be appropriate.
Buckingham Palace?
No, Horse Guards Parade. Then I thought we might perhaps pop in for morning coffee with Colonel Gulliver. His office is quite close by.
And here I was thinking Machiavelli was dead.
Oh, aren't the horses lovely?
Ah, they're beautiful.
Yes.
Why aren't all the soldiers wearing red?
Because they're from two different regiments. The ones in red are the Life Guards, and the ones in blue are the Royal Horse Guards. Or is it the other way round, Curtis?
Why ask me? They're your soldiers, John.
Oh, no.
What's the matter, Flora?
Someone's looking for me.
Oh, come on, Flora, relax. Look at the soldiers. They're so pretty.
I think striking would be more apt.
I want to go home.
But we've only just arrived.
Someone's looking for me.
Nonsense, Flora.
I'm frightened. I want to go home.
Oh, no, come along, Flora. Don't be so silly. You're imagining things.
That doesn't reassure me one whit.
Please.
John, why don't you take Flora, go see our friend Gulliver, huh?
And what do you propose doing?
Well, I'll hang around here and make sure that no one is following her.
Following? Oh, come on, Curtis.
Oh, please, I must go home.
You know, John, as well as I do, that Flora has an unfortunate habit of being right about these things. Anyway, it might even be the first of your mackerel.
Please.
Do as I suggest, please, John. Take Flora to see Gulliver. If anyone is following her, there's no way he can cross a street as wide as Whitehall without showing himself.
And if he does?
Well, then I'll follow him, of course.
Oh, very well. Come along then, Flora.
Oh, thank you.
There's no one following us yet.
He's still looking for me.
Well, I wish he'd show himself if he's going to.
Oh, so do I. I wish he'd show himself. I wish he'd show himself. Oh, I'm frightened.
There, Flora. There's nothing to be frightened of. You're quite safe enough with me, I promise.
Oh, there he is! Look out! Oh!
Poor devil.
Slight concussion, contusions on the face and arms. Nothing serious, Colonel.
Where is he now?
In the hospital, presumably. They took him off in an ambulance.
And you think he was following you?
Following Flora, Colonel. I'm sure of it.
He was looking for me. He was the one.
Well, he wasn't one of my men.
His name was McBinney.
How do you know that?
Well, we checked his identity before they put him in the ambulance.
Well, I don't have anyone of that name on my staff.
The police on the Isle of Luig have a sergeant by that name.
This wasn't the same man, though.
No, but...
There's lots of McBinneys on Luig.
Miss Keiry, is there any reason at all, why anyone from Luig should be looking for you?
To take me back.
Flora, listen to me. Did you want that man, McBinney, did you want him to cross the road?
Oh, I wanted him to show himself. I didn't mean to hurt him. I wanted him to show himself.
It's all right, Flora. Really it is. There, dear.
You said you wanted him to show himself. Well, so I concentrated and willed him to. I didn't know he'd get hurt.
Stop this silly charade. I don't believe a word of it. It's all some damn fool prank. I'm surprised at you, Cornelius, a man in your position. And you, young lady. I don't know what you hope to gain from all this nonsense.
I want to go home.
Yeah, I'm sure you do, but you're not going.
Take me home.
You're not going anywhere till we've got to the bottom of this tissue of ludicrous lies.
Take me home.
Sit down.
Steady on, Colonel. There's no need to adopt that tone.
I shall adopt whatever damn tone I please.
Take me home.
And you can stop that snivelling.
Oh, come on now, Flora. Be a good girl and keep quiet.
Take me home. I want to go away from here.
Yes, I know, Flora. Just leave it to old Uncle Cornelius.
Eh?
He's going to talk our way out of this, aren't you?
Am I?
Well, you've certainly got some explaining to do.
Take
Sir?
me home.
Brigadier Sherman.
Take
What can I do for you, sir?
home.
But, sir, I mean...
Forget it, Colonel. There's nothing you can do but watch.
We can go home. We can go home. Please.
We can go home. We can go home. We can go home.
Where's he taking her?
Home, by the sound of it. We'd better go after them.
You go, John. You might be able to sweet-talk her into switching off.
And you?
I'd better stay here. I've got some explaining to do.
Do your best.
Okay.
Would you mind filling me in? What exactly is going on round here?
Well, to put it simply, Flora's been sending out telepathic distress signals, and your gallant brigadier answered them.
You mean...
I do. And it couldn't happen to a nicer man.
But the brigadier's the head of the department.
Well, in that case, Colonel, the department's got quite a headache. You should have seen poor Gulliver's face, John. It was a picture, an absolute picture.
And so was Sherman's. He was halfway down the corridor when I caught up with him, and he couldn't understand what he was doing there. He was terribly concerned about himself. Anyway, it's an ill wind.
Is this our street?
Yes, your father's house is just down there on the left.
Oh, where the ambulance is.
Ambulance?
She's right. There is an ambulance. And the police.
Stop here, driver.
Very good, sir.
Now, Flora, you stay with Uncle Cornelius, and I'll just go and see what's going on, huh?
All right, stand back there, please. Come on, move along if you would. There's nothing more to see.
What happened, officer?
And that's what we're trying to find out, sir.
But why the ambulance?
Because someone went and got themselves shot, didn't they? Now, come along now, it's all over.
But who, officer? Who's been shot?
They're bringing him out now, sir. Let us know if he's a friend of yours, won't you? Now, come along now. Stand back, if you please. Let the man breathe a little.
Oh, my God, it's Gwent.
Gwent? Who's he?
Saunderson's butler.
What?
Well, now you understand why I was hustling you and Flora away from there.
Yes.
Well, I couldn't say much in front of her.
No, of course.
It could have set the whole Clockwork Orange ticking all over again.
My word, yes. It's a rum business, this.
You can say that again. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Where's Flora now?
Staring out of her bedroom window, waiting for her father, for Sanderson to come back.
Well, it shouldn't be long now. Apparently he went down to the police station to make a formal statement.
Those things can drag on for hours. Wonder if Gulliver's heard the news.
Does the left hand ever knoweth what the right hand doeth?
No, it doesn't. That's the British definition of security. I'd better go and phone him.
You do just that.
Oh, hello, Flora.
Hello, Uncle Cornelius.
Go on in. I'll be with you in a second. Just have to make a phone call.
Hello, Flora.
Hello, Professor.
Your daddy not back yet, huh?
Well, he came back just now.
Oh, good. That'll make you happy.
Well, yes, he came in a big car. There were 2 other men with him.
Oh?
Yes, there were 2.
Well, they were just policemen, probably.
Policemen?
Only to look after him. Your daddy's a very important man, you know.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, let's go tell Mr. Cornelius the good news, huh? And then we'll take you home.
I'd be most grateful if you would tell him that. Bye.
Well?
He wasn't there.
Well, Saunderson's just got back.
Oh, damn.
Well, I thought I'd just walk her across.
Righto. John Cornelius?
Ian Sanderson speaking. Is Flora with you?
Oh, yes, she is. Hold on, Curtis. She was just about to leave.
Well, I'd rather she didn't. Not just at the moment. The place is in a bit of a shambles.
Yes, I imagine it would be.
I don't want her to see it like this. It might upset her.
I can understand that. Don't concern yourself about her. Perhaps you'll let us know when you'd like her to come back.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Not at all.
By the way...
Yes?
There are 2 men on their way over to you now. Policemen.
Oh?
They want to talk to Flora about the business here this afternoon. Someone broke into my flat, damn near killed my butler.
Yes, so I heard, but Flora knows nothing about it. She was with us all the afternoon.
Yes, I told them that, but they insist. They seem to think Flora was the intended victim, not Gwent. Cornelius?
They could very well be right, Mr. Sanderson. They could very well be right.
I'll ring you later. Goodbye.
Goodbye. That's odd.
What is it, John?
Sanderson said there's a couple of policemen on their way over to talk to Flora.
So? It must be them already.
Well, I suppose I'd better let them in.
No.
What?
No, don't let them in.
But they're only policemen, Flora. Don't be silly.
No, don't let them in. Don't let them in. Oh, keep them out. Keep them out.
She's putting the chain on the door, Flora.
They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me.
John, she means it. Quick, phone Gulliver.
I did. He's not there.
Well, we mustn't let those men in.
They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me.
Calm down, Flora. Calm down and concentrate.
They're going to kill me.
Now listen to me, Flora. They can't kill you if you want them to go away. Now, will them to go away.
I can't.
Make them go away, Flora.
I can't.
Oh, come on. You can do it if you want to.
I can't. I can't. They won't go.
Flora, try.
I am trying.
Come on, Flora.
It's not working.
Come on.
It's not working. They're going to kill me.
Get down, Flora. Get down. Keep down, Flora. Don't move. Flora. Flora, are you all right? Flora.
What?
Flora's dead.
I can't believe it. Such a waste.
Yes, John. But now you have to believe that there is another controller. Right here. In London.
That was part 4 of Aliens in the Mind, co-starring Vincent Price as Curtis Lark and Peter Cushing as John Cornelius, with Sandra Clark as Flora Keiry, Fraser Kerr, Ian Sanderson, William Edel, Gulliver, Clifford Norgate, Brigadier Sherman, and Michael Harbour as Gwent. Aliens in the Mind was written by René Basilico from an idea by Robert Holmes. Production by John Dias.